This conference will now be recorded.
Right, so yesterday we are facing a problem while configuring the quality gate, right? So there, as I told, one configuration is missing. That is nothing but, so when you are trying to set up the quality gates from the Jenkins side, we require to provide the username and password of the SonarQube server. I mean the SonarQube application. Right. So here, right. So just two things, guys. When you want to integrate the any other server to Jenkins configuration system, if you want to install any tools, global tool, those things has to be considered here. So now here I will go to the manage Jenkins. Now the integration I need to be done. So for that I will go to manage Jenkins and configure system. Right. Yesterday we have installed the plugins Quality Gate and Sonar Quality plugin. Two plugins are installed. Out of the two plugins, Quality Gate is not required. Sonar Quality plugin is the one which is required for us. So I'm going to check for quality. So this is not required. Yes, I think yeah. This one is not required for us, Quality Gate, and this is the one is required, Quality Gate Sonar Cube. Here we need to provide that yesterday what we did is we have given the some name for identification and the Sonar Cube URL. Right. So now here the extra properties are nothing but the login username and the password of the SonarQube. By default is admin. Correct. So admin is the default username and password of the SonarQube. Those details I have provided here. That's it. No extra configurations. URL, username, and password. The plugin name is QualityGate SonarQube. This is the one which is required for us. Then go to our jobs, CA job. One of the job. I went to the CA job and click on the configuration and go to the post build actions. Here we can see, let me remove this one first. Post build actions, quality gates, SonarQube plugin. This is the one is required. So click on here. So now it's going to ask the key. Right. So until unless we are not configured this quality gate in the configuration system, we are not going to see these options. Yesterday we are facing the same issue, right? These options are not enabled actually. So once the configuration is done properly, then we are going to see these options. So one is nothing but here project key, right? So for the Sonar scanner, the project key is nothing but for the Sonar scanner we are passing the properties, correct? So the properties are nothing but the key, name, version, and the location of the code. Right, go to that area, nothing but go to the build actions. Right here, these are the properties we have passed, right? So here, this is the key actually, project key. Now this key has to be passed into the quality gate. So copy the key name and here provide it. So now what you want to take the action, right? So if the quality gate is failed, what you want to do? You want to fail the job or you want to unstable it? Means the job is not going to fail, but some step is having some issue. The yellow color will be shown for the job, unstable jobs. Right. So usually the practice will be if the gate fails means you have to fail the job. So that is the reason selecting fail. Right. So now here apply and save. Now try to run the job. Build now. SonarCube started here. You can see the scanning is going on. Now the execution is success. Now see here, it is checking the quality gate. This is the quality gate check. Status is success. So that the build also step quality gates plugin build is pass true. The quality gate is success. That is the reason it is showing here the job is successful. Right. So if the quality gate is failed, then it become a false. Then our job is going to fail. Let's see. So this is an quality gate check here. So at the end, it's going to check the quality gate whether the gate is passed or failed. So now here, let me go to the other job. GOL, game of life. So for that, what I did here is I have created our own custom quality gate. Right. So now here this custom quality gate is nothing but my sonar. For that, I have given reliability rating is worse than A. Then I want to fail it error. I want to make it the error if it is worse than A. So this is a single condition I have created under the quality gate called my sonar, and this one I have given as a default. So every project is going to run with the same custom quality gate. So now let's go and run the job. So if I go to, before running the job, if I go to projects, the hello world servlet, right? So here we are not having any issue, that all are A's only. That is the reason the quality gate is passed here, right? So now let's run the game of life job, GOL. Click on build now. Now here the quality gate is checking. Now see, you can observe here, job got failed because the quality gate status is false, right? So now here, because of the quality gate status false, it failed the job. If I go to my job here, I can see the red color, right? So now let's go to the SonarCube, refresh, failed, right? Because, so what are the conditions we are checking? That is less than A. So due to the reason it got failed. So like that. So if the status is failed, the job, I mean, SonarCube quality gate status is failed, then we can fail our jobs also. You can see that it is an error, so you can fail the job. Right, then immediately the next step will be sending an email notification that people will receive the notifications the job got failed. Right, so now then they will go and they will do the rest of the work, working on the issues and fix it and build it again. Right. So now this is from the graphical user interface side, GUI side, with the help of the plugins. But for the code level, that is a different story again. So we are not going to use this kind of plugins. But yes, right, the same activity can be handled with the help of the code, nothing but the pipelines, and with the help of the plugins. Right. If you understand how this process is going to happening, then writing the code is very easy. That's it. Okay. Right. So now this is the guys. This is the step of quality gate check. Then in our process, so let me go to our job, CA job. So in our process, go to the configuration. Right. So here the code has been taken from so and so repository. Checking is happening. Then it is like poll SCM, like every 5 minutes the poll SCM is going to happen. So whenever the code came into the repository, automatically the job is going to trigger. Then building the code, running the unit test cases, and creation of packages also happening in the map and build page. Right, then we are checking the code quality, right? So what are the code quality we are getting through the Sonar scanner? We are publishing into the SonarCube. We are publishing it here. Then we are checking the quality gate for the same code quality, right? Then at the end, we are trying to publish the reports. Right? The publisher, right? We are using the publisher as well, right? So publisher report. What are the reports? The report can be anything. So you want to publish. So this is the area we are going to use. The post build actions is the area we are going to use to publish the results, like JUnit test results, like that. These are the steps we have created so far in the job. So now the next step will be, right? So here, what the Maven is going to do. So let me go to the console output, test build is success. So here you can see I have given install, clean install. So in the installation phase, right, install means it will create artifact and it will and store into the local Maven repository. Correct? Install means. So here what will happen? What is happening here is, so whatever the artifact is created, nothing but the artifact here is war file. So what are the code I have taken? So the code is nothing but here my hello world servlet repository. Now this code has been taken and compiled and ran the unit test cases, then finally created an artifact called hello world.war file. This war file is trying to store into the Maven local repository, nothing but the .m2, right? We know .m2 is a Maven local. So where we can find these local repositories? Right, simple. Wherever this job is running on the same server, we are going to find this repository. So where is running? Where lib Jenkins, nothing but the Jenkins server. On the Jenkins server, it created a .m2 repository, nothing but the local. There in this path, the final outcome is going to store. Right. So now this one, the final outcome. Right. So now here, the problem here is if something happened to this location, if the .m2 fault is gone, and our Jenkins server is down, right? So now whatever the volume, whatever the volume is attached to the Jenkins server, the volume is crashed out. Right? There are many reasons will be there to not to work with the system or to crash the system or some other thing. Right? So now due to that reasons, if you lose your data, right, then how we are going to get back? Correct. So that is the reason we are going to maintain the backups. We are going to maintain the backup so that if something is happen, then immediately you can get back the data with the help of the backups. Very, very, very important for us, taking the backups. So now here, these artifacts, to store the artifacts into some location, right? So the backup area, so that in future, right, in future, or you want to restore it. Either it can be if you want to use the artifacts in future, or if you want to restore the artifacts, right? So for the two reasons, instead of placing the artifacts in a same server, place into some other server or some other area, some other location, the backup location. Right? Okay, fine. So now to get back the data, right? So if I lose something, then I want to revert it. So revert it is nothing but getting back the data from this backup location. But here the thing is, we are going to build different packages, jar files, war files, er files. Right? How we are going to maintain? If I place all the jar files, war files, er files in the same location, then how we are going to segregate and how we are going to pick the one which is required for you? Then that is again headache for us. Right? If I place all the files, all kind of formats, .txt, .doc, .ppt for the same file, right? So DevOps.txt, DevOps.doc, DevOps.ppt, like that. Then if I want to have the particular format file, so how we are going to fetch? There you need to again write a logic to based on the extensions and go and check something like that. Right? So now here the thing is, it is not possible, but maintenance will be difficult for us. You need to write some code and you need to segregate the things properly, then you need to pick the data. So there There we have got some tools to manage these artifacts effectively. You don't bother about it. You don't need to bother about it. So there we are going to call as a artifact repository tools. Instead of placing in a hard disk or a location, right? We can place it, but the thing is how effectively are going to maintain, right? Effectively in the sense how easily you can get back the data when you require it, instead of spending some good amount of time, right? So that those things how we are going to handle here, right? So there the tools came into picture, artifact repository tools. So now in the process, what we are going to do here is instead of storing the artifacts into the same Jenkins server, we are going to push the artifacts into the repository tools. Then when the moment you require to deploy the code into the environments, development environment, QA environment, SIT, UAT, production, you are going to pick the artifacts from the repository, right? So you will be having the artifacts handy in some location. Then when you want, not only you, some other guy, suppose the tester wants to test the code, he requires the artifact, simply they will get the artifact from the repository tool, right? So anyone, the easy shareability, anyone wants to have the artifact, simply they will go to the tools and they will pick the required artifacts, right? So there one of the uh, popular tool is Nexus. From the open source side, one of the popular tool to manage to store these artifacts are nothing but the Nexus. So now here we are going to integrate the Nexus with the Jenkins. Then we'll build the code, nothing but we'll build the job. So once the job has been validated, checks that like unit test case validation and the quality gate, everything is passed, then the build is going to happen. Then it is going to create the artifact. Then artifacts, we are not going to store something like here. We are going to push this artifact into the Nexus server. This is our next step in our CI/CD process. This is our next step, pushing the artifacts into some safer location, nothing but the artifact repository tools we are going to call, right? So let's see here. So now again this, if I'm going to set up the Nexus in the same Jenkins server, then no use, right? So if the Jenkins fails, again we are going to lose the Nexus also. So that is the reason we are going to maintain separate servers. They should be isolated. There should not be any dependency. So like how the SonarQube has been set up, in the same fashion, we are going to set up the Nexus in a separate server, and the Nexus server we are going to integrate with the Jenkins. Then our jobs are going to push their artifacts into the Nexus server. Those changes has to be done from our end. That's it. Your Jenkins will take care. Right. Let's see. So now here I will go to my AWS dashboard and I will start creation of a new instance, launch instance. For the Nexus, you don't require that much of huge configuration. T2 micro can be taken. So I'm going to take the Amazon free tier eligible, select T2 micro, review and launch, click on launch. Oh, hi, I can acknowledge launch. I'm going to give as a name Nexus. Right. So it is up and running. Try to connect the server, connect, take the key, and Right, so I'm switching into the root because trying to perform the operations of installations and do some configurations. Better to switch to the root as admin. Right, so now server is ready. A plain machine we have taken. Now on the machine, we are going to set up the Nexus. Right. So now here again, the same story. Nexus also dependent on Java. Right. So now here I'm going to install the Java. Java is installed. The same steps. uh, Environment variable configuration has to be done, but as of the practice purpose, so I did not include these steps here. But yes, if you want to maintain the Nexus always, better to set up the environment variables also. Otherwise, if you restart the system again, we are going to face the issues. Right. So now here Java is installed. Then creating a directory called app and switching into the app. So this is a kind of shortcut. So when you want to run multiple commands, multiple Linux commands in a single shot, we can use N symbol between the commands, so that it will run both the commands in a single shot. It will create a directory and it will switch. Otherwise, run separately. First run the mkdir, then run the cd. A kind of shortcut. So now here it created a app directory, then it switched to the app. So if I give pwd, now there I can see I am in the app directory. Right. So now here I am going to download the Nexus binary into this app. So that is the reason we have created a separate directory. So now download the Nexus. To download anything, wget is the command, and this is the path where you can find the Nexus. You can go to this site. In the site in the downloads, you can find this tar file. So now here I'm going to take this path and run the command. ls, we can see a tar file. In the tar, the format is gunzip format. So the tar file is downloaded, and the next step will be extract it, untar. So untar the file. So what are the file we have downloaded? So to extract, to untar it, tar-x. Right. To create a tar file, -c. To extract a tar file, -x. Right. So now type tar-xvf. Then what are the file you have downloaded? The file name. So go here. So because of the copy and paste, these hyphens are converted into some special characters. Hyphen. Right. So now the tar file is extracted. Now you can see here it extracted and it is given to directories called Sona type work and our Nexus 2.11.2.03, the version. Right. So when you untar it, so we got two directories. Then the next step. Right. So rename it so that you can easily communicate and easily call the Nexus instead of Nexus 2.11.2.03. Simply I'm going to call it Nexus going forward. So for that purpose, we are trying to rename that Nexus complete file into the as a Nexus. So to rename, move is the command. This is a kind of shortcut for easy purpose. That's it. It's not like the mandatory step here. So now ls, now you can see the name of the Nexus is renamed in shortly Nexus. Right. So then, right. So here the Nexus, the best practice, what they are suggesting here is don't go with the root user when you want to perform any operations. Operation means starting the Nexus, stopping the Nexus, restart the Nexus, like that. So any operations you want to perform on the Nexus side, better to use a separate user rather than the root, the admin. That's what the best practice they are going to suggest us. So now here we are going to create a user Nexus to perform these operations. Right. So now let me create a user, right? So to create a user, add user is the command now Linux, right? So now here user has been created, cat etc passwd, right? This is the file where you can find all the users information, correct? Enter. You can see Nexus is created just now. We have created. So then so whatever the sorry, so whatever the binaries, nothing but the tar file we have downloaded, so those files owner is going to change, right? Let's see here what is the owner here for the files ls. So now there are two directories, one is Nexus and the second one is Sona type work. So ls-l, right? Default is the root because with the root only I have downloaded it. That is the reason that the root is allocated as a owner and as well as a group. Now, but for the best practice, the suggestion is don't go with the root user. Instead of the root, go with a separate user. So that is the reason we have created a user called Nexus to perform the operations. So now here, if the guy is trying to run any commands or anything on this Nexus, he will be rejected because the owner of the Nexus is root. This guy will not be having the permissions to perform the operations on the directories. He is not part of the group, or he is not part of the, sorry, he is not a owner, or he is not part of the group. Simply it is going to reject. So right, so that is the reason what we are going to do. We are going to change the permissions. Change the permissions of these folders, nothing but the directories, from the root to Nexus, so that Nexus user can perform the operations. Otherwise, we are going to see the permission denied issues, errors, because he is not having the access. Simple, right? So now here changing the permissions, chown command, right? So changing the ownership, chown, then -r, right? Why -r is required? We are touching the directories. Means the directory can have multiple subdirectories and bunch of files. Everything has to be changed. Otherwise, again, you are going to see the permission denied issue. The particular file when you are trying to access it with the help of Nexus user. So right, so change all the files, all the subdirectories from the root to Nexus, the -r. So now here we know, right? So this is for the owner information and this is for the group information, right? As of now, the owner and group both are root. So now I am going to change from the root to Nexus. To whom? To whom we are going to change? I am going to change the Nexus directory and I am going to change the Sona type work directories. These two. That's it. So let's see. Let's run the command. So now here ls-l. Now we can observe here the root change it to Nexus and Nexus, so that this user can perform the operations on this Nexus or Sona type work. Perform the operation means right, starting the services, like right, working with the services. So now, yeah, Chris.
Just a quick question. So in
Yeah,
Linux, can we add a user as an owner, or do we have to actually change? Because I haven't finished Linux yet. So do we have to mandatorily change the ownership, or can we add a user as the owner as well to the same directory?
So now here now, so two things here, Chris, actually. So usually for any file or directory, we will be having a owner and a group. Okay. So now you cannot add multiple owners to a file. Like Krish and Shankar cannot be the owners here. So either Krish or Shankar. But Shankar wants to have the permissions. He wants to have the permissions so that he wants to perform some operations. Then Krish also, like Krish is the main owner, but Shankar also do some kind of operations. He is also an admin. Then what we can do, we are going to create a group.
Okay.
Admin group. So now the admin group will be given the permissions. What are the permissions are required? So now the people can be added to the groups.
Okay. Okay.
So okay, now owner will be owner will be the Chris, but yes, the group will be there so that the group can have the permissions. Now the people can be added to the group like that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now once the permissions are changed from the root to the Nexus, then switch to the user Nexus, then try to start the Nexus service, right? Because the suggestion always will be good practice, security practice always will be go with the user, right? That is the reason we have created user. So now switch to the Nexus user, then try to start the services. So before switching it, let's create a Nexus executable file inside the init.d directory. Right. So by default, the Nexus service, let's see whether it is available or not. First, then we'll change it otherwise. So switch to the Nexus user, enter cd so that it will be switched to the Nexus. So now service Nexus status unrecognized service. Now this service command not able to recognize this Nexus, right? So now here we need to add this Nexus as a service here, right? So now to add as a service, this is the one. So making a soft link. ln-s is nothing but we are going to create a soft link. So soft links can be treated something like that. So a shortcut, right? So now here the Slack is a shortcut here. When the moment I'm going to double click the Slack, it will going to point to the original location, correct? So from that we can access it like that. Here also in our Linux you can create the soft links so that you can point to the exact location where the executable file will be there, right? But you don't require to go to that location, right? So it kind of shortcut exactly. In Windows you can call it the shortcuts. So now here ln-s is the command to create a soft links in our Linux. So now here for which one you want to create a soft link. So now here I want to create a soft link for my Nexus executable file, right? So now let's go here. I'm coming out from the Nexus user, then ls. Now let's go to the Nexus directory, cd Nexus ls, right? So remember guys, already I told you this one, all the executable files of any service will be under the bin directory. If you are trying to refer any service, it can be a Jenkins, it can be a Nexus, it can be a SonarQube, whatever the service, or it can be a Java, right? Any service, the executable file will be located under the bin directory. So now go to the bin ls, right? This is the executable file. So now when I want to work with the Nexus, then always I should refer this path app Nexus bin app Nexus bin, then Nexus. See here, now it is able to recognize. Earlier when I'm going to run the service command, it is saying a Nexus unrecognized service. It is not able to recognize. It cannot. The system is not able to find the Nexus service. Right. So now here what I did, I went to that location where the Nexus executable file is located. I went to that location. From that I'm calling the Nexus, checking the status. Now it is giving some warning. Okay, that is fine, but we are going to get the output. Correct. So now here, right? So always we need to refer this path when you want to work with the Nexus service. Some kind of difficulty, right? Remembering the path and entering the path, something like that. That's where services came into the picture. right? So now you don't require to remember all the path. Let's create a service. Now the service is going to call the path. It will go to the particular path in the background, right? So now that is the reason. Now we are going to create a service with the help of the soft link called ln-s. Now the ln-s, what we are going to tell here is, this is the location where the Nexus is stored. Nexus is stored means Nexus executable file is stored. Now create a soft link for this path as a name, Nexus, where etc initd, right? This is one more location to work with the services, either service command or etc initd is the second way, right? In our Linux class we have seen this one, right? So there are two locations will be there for system. One is the service or systemctl straight commands, service, service name, and the actions. The second one is etc initd. There place in the in initd directory place the service. Then use the service to perform the actions, start or stop or restart. Right. So now here I'm going to create a soft link for the Nexus directory. I'm going to executable file into the etc initd directory. So now here copy the command, enter it. Right. So now cd in, just I will go to this location. That's it. Initd ls. Nexus, you can see here a soft link. Right. So this is another location to work with the services apart from the service command etc initd. Default location for the system, you are going to see these two as a default for any OS, Linux OS. So now let's switch to the user Nexus, right? Because not recommended to run as a root. Nexus will give a suggestion like don't run as a root, right? So that is the reason we are trying to switch. We are trying to use some other user to work with the Nexus, right? So sudo Nexus, I want to say su switch user Nexus cd, so that it will move out from the init directory, right? Pwd, I am in the Nexus home location and I switch it to the Nexus user. Now try to start the Nexus service, Nexus start. Now see, starting the Nexus and started. So now here just system. Service Nexus status. Now the Nexus is running, right? So now here the thing is, just so sometimes people are confusing here. So the thing is here, I have created a user, but I have not set up any password for the user. So now when you guys are trying to switch the user to the Nexus other than the root, suppose come out from the EC2 user. He is not an admin, he is a normal user. Switch Nexus, he is going to ask you the password, right? But if you want to switch to the some other user, means the password is required, obviously. But here I don't have any password, I did not set up the password. So right, so don't confuse here. Simply, if you want to switch the user, first switch to the root. Switch to the root means switch to admin. Admin don't require a password to switch to another user. From the admin, if you want to switch to other users, password is not required. But from a normal user to the user, yes, password is required. Okay, so now here I am going to come out su means sudo -i. Now here switch to Nexus. From the admin to any user, no password is required. Okay, still you are confusing. Okay, why something like that? Then better create a password. Simple, right? So create a password for the user, PASSW Nexus. Then create a password. Then use the password to switch the user. Up to us, like how we are going to handle this one. Okay, right? But don't confuse here because I have not configured the password. So that is the reason. If you are trying to switch from other user to Nexus, it will ask the password. By that time, we are not going to have any passwords. So then switch to the root, from the root to switch to the Nexus, or create a password for the Nexus user, then use it. Anything is fine, right? So now here Nexus is ready. Nexus is up and running. Now here, if you want to access the Nexus application, right? So there, the default port number is 8081 for the Nexus, right? So now here, the Nexus, by simply giving the port number, it won't be accessible. We have to pass the name of the application called Nexus / Nexus. Yeah, otherwise, the application will not be accessible. That is what the configuration, default configuration. So now let's go to the dashboard of AWS and take the public IP of the Nexus server. Right. So one point always we need to remember is it is a fresh machine. Yes, just now we have created it. On the new machine, I have set up the Nexus. Means by default, the security group always will be the 22. That's what we need to remember. Right. So now here we need to change the port name security group from the 22. So by adding the 8081, or let's give all the traffic. So actions, inbound roles, right? Default is 22. So I'm going to add all traffic anywhere set. So now go to the dashboard, take the Nexus public IP. So this is our Nexus server and this is the public IP. Copy, then the port number is 8081. Enter. It won't be reachable. You cannot access it. Now /Nexus. Now the Nexus will be ready. Okay, fine. It's taking some time to load. In the meantime, we'll see the integration. Nexus integration with the Jenkins, right? Because it is a separate server. So now you have to communicate. You means the Jenkins has to communicate to the Nexus, then only it can push the artifacts, right? So now the integration part. So now server to server, right? So Nexus is a separate server here. Jenkins is a separate server. Now server to server integration means configure system. The option is right. So now here, if you want to configure this Nexus, okay, let me go to Jenkins again. Now we know what is the option, so that I can use that option to integrate the other servers. We know the option here. The option is nothing but the under the manage Jenkins configure system is the option to integrate other servers to Jenkins. Under the manage Jenkins configure system is the option, right? So now here search for Nexus. We are not going to see, right? Why means Same story. By default, Jenkins is not capable of doing anything. Always it requires the plugins. With the help of the plugins only, it's going to manage all the stuff. Right. So now here the Nexus plugin is not installed on this Jenkins. That is the reason it is not, we are not able to see the Nexus part, Nexus configuration part. Now we require the Nexus plugin. Right. Now we know, right? So from where we can download the plugins. Go to the Jenkins, manage Jenkins, and you can say manage plugins. Go to the available section. You can see here there are two plugins are there. One is the Nexus Artifact Uploader, and the second one is Nexus Platform. One is for the integration, and one is for to upload the artifacts into the Nexus server. So go here and search for Nexus Artifact Uploader and the Platform. Two plugins. Download now and install after restart. What's happened here? Something is. Both the plugins are downloaded. Then next boot, restart it. Restart. Usually it won't take this much of time. Then access. Okay, let's see. So now connect to the Jenkins. Right. So now the integration part. Server to server integration, manage Jenkins, and go to the configure system. So now search for Nexus now, right? So once after the plugin is installed, now we can see the Nexus integration section under this configure system option, like our Sonar Cube, right? So search for Nexus now. You can see here Sonar type Nexus. Add Nexus repository manager server. This is what is required for us. So select this one. There are different versions are available for the repository manager server. One is 2+ series and the second one is 3+ series. Right. So now we have installed the Nexus 2+ series, 2.11 or something, correct? So we need to choose 2+, right? So now choose the 2+ series, 2.x.server, select, Now it's going to ask you some details. Identification, right? So to identify the name Nexus, it requires a server ID, a number, right? You can give any kind of number here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have passed it. Yeah, for the unique identification, a ID is required. So pass any number there. Now the URL, copy it and paste it. Right. So now the credentials are required to connect it. Yes, required. So now here by default, like the SonarQube, the authentication details are admin for the SonarQube. For the Nexus, admin and admin 123 is the password for the Nexus. Right. So here we don't have the Nexus credentials as of now because we are not added into the credentials manager as of now. The Nexus credentials here. Right. So here something is happening, so it is not able to pick it up. So let me change the system configuration C. So what I will do, I will change the system configuration T2 micro to some higher. Right now this is stopped. Right. Cloud has a many options. You can handle any kind of means maximum of the request on fly. So now changing the system configuration is the biggest task actually. Right. So if I want to upgrade my server here, just a matter of second, in a fraction of seconds, you can change the configurations. So stop the mission actions. Anyway, I'm going to cover this one in our AWS class, but right now I'm going to change. I'm going to show the option. So now here instance settings and change the instance type. Click on here. Now here you can choose right now T2 micro. Now you can choose whatever you want. So I'm going for the T2 medium. Apply. That's it. Now you can see here T2 micro is changed to T2 medium. And start the server again. Connect the server and see whether the Nexus is running or not. not running here. Start status running. IP, then now try to see 8081/Nexus. In the meantime, I have started my old Nexus server, which is running on the T2 micro. Copy, still it is loading. Don't understand. 8081 Nexus. We'll see whether at least I'm able to load this old one or not. Seems like internet issue. Both are in the same state only. Let me try to connect to some other network and see.
I think it's your internet. I can connect from here. Yeah.
Yes, Chris. Yeah, internet issue only. Yeah, now we can see the page loading. Are you able to see this application, please? Are you able to access? Someone can try this by hitting this IP, na?
I can access it, Shankar.
Sure.
Yeah, you can access it, na? Yes. So this is the internet issue only. Yes, yeah, fine, yeah. It's the internet issue only. Yeah, now I can see. So right, so here, this is the dashboard of the Nexus. Right, so now here we are going to manage the repositories. Repository is nothing but you can treat it as like a folder again. Same, our GitHub concepts. GitHub will be having the repositories. In the repositories, we are going to place the code. Now to manage the code effectively, we are going to create a number of repositories. Like that, here also, our Nexus will be managing the repositories. Under the repository, you can create your own repositories based on the structure, based on the projects. Then push the artifacts into the corresponding repositories. Right. So now here, the Nexus by default will not be having any concept of versioning. It won't support any kind of versions. Like in our Git, right? Git is a version control tool, but here Nexus is not a version control tool. But we are going to manage the version. We'll see the complete part. We'll see how to manage the version and other stuff. So now here, let's go to the repositories, and here it is going to support different types of packages like the maven2, maven1. Like, so these are the general package, the third party, Apache snapshots. Like it's a wide application. Nexus here is you can manage different types of packages, nothing but the repositories, right? So by default, it is going to place the repositories under the releases. By default, the artifacts are going to place under the releases repositories, the default location. Now if you want to create your own, I don't want to go with the releases, not with the default. I want to have my own repository. There I want to push it. So then we require the admin privileges to create the repositories. This is the read-only thing you can see here. You cannot do any kind of alterations. So now here login. If you want to perform any kind of changes, configuration changes or creations or deletions, click on login. Now default username and password will be admin123. Now once we log in as admin, then we can see a separate tab here, right? So now you can see add, delete, move to trash, refresh, something like that. So when you want to create a repositories, right, so click on, right, so here there are different types of repositories: hosted, proxy, virtual. Based on the networking, these proxies are going to repositories are going to create. So as of now, by default, take the hosted repositories. So now here we need to provide the repository ID, repository name, and the provider, what kind of packages you are going to store, right? Because it is not only used for to store only the war files or jar files. We can store the npm packages, .NET, NuGet packages, Ruby gems, site like Maven and Maven2. Multiple formats it is going to support, not only a single jar files or war files, right? So now here a ID, repository ID is required. Test repo, some name I have given, right? Repository policy, right? So you want to use the releases policies or snapshot policies. Snapshots are nothing but continuous development. Releases are nothing but the, right, when the code is successfully validated and everything is fine, then you'll go for the higher level environments. There the releases we are going to use, right? So now test repo, something I have provided here. Then the rest you can leave it as it is. Click on save. Now you can see a test repo is created here, like that, right? So now likewise you can manage the repositories by taking the provided default one, nothing but the releases or snapshots, or you can create our own from the Nexus side. So once you got the repositories handy, then integrate this Nexus to your Jenkins, then push the artifacts into the corresponding repositories. Here or something like that, right? So that integration is required here. Once the integration part is done, then that's it. Leave it so that automatically the repository, the artifacts will be pushed to the repositories. Then when the moment we require, then again we will come to this repositories. From that we are going to download the artifacts into our environments, right? So now here, let's go to the Jenkins. This is the configuration section. Now here I think this Nexus one is changed. IP is changed 143. Then the credentials, right? So as of now, the Nexus credentials are stored in the credential manager. So I'm going to create a new credentials here. Username with the password. Then username is admin, and the password is admin123. So name I am going to give as Nexus credentials. Add. So now here you can see test connection. If everything goes fine, it should show something like that. Connection is succeeded. 3 hosted releases repositories can be seen when you trying to publish the artifacts into the Nexus. Nothing but then the job configuration. Right. So successfully Nexus is integrated with your Jenkins. Nexus server is integrated with the Jenkins server. Apply and save. Done. So now go to the job, our CA job, click on here and configuration. Click on the job configuration.
Shankar, your voice is not here.
Shankar?
Yeah, so some internet issues actually, so that is the reason it's breaking. Build step, Nexus repository. It is not able to add the step also. Yes. Right, so now here you can see Nexus repository manager publisher under the build. Under the build, it is a one of the build step. Nexus repository manager publisher. Right. So now here you can choose the instance whatever you have configured in the configuration section. Correct. So there I have given the name as Nexus. Select it. So then you are going to see the repository names. Test repo, snapshot, releases under the hosted section. Hosted will be displayed there. So now these three you can see here. So those three can observe here. Right. So where you want to push? Suppose I want to take the releases. So then, right. So now I am going to tell my Jenkins job to I want to push the artifacts into the releases of the Nexus. Releases of the Nexus. That is fine. Where the artifact is located and what is the artifact format, right? Those has to be provided. So that's what here packages. Right. So now connection is established from the Jenkins to Nexus. Now you need to tell your Nexus from the Jenkins to I am going to push this artifact, nothing but the war file or jar file or ER file, and this war file is located in the so and so path. Those details has to be provided. So add package. Now here our package is Maven package. Right. The jar files or war files are nothing but from the Maven. Select it. So now here we need to provide the group, artifact, version, and the package information. Right. So group ID, artifact ID, version, and the package information where we can find. Correct. So those information we can find in our GitHub repository. So go to the GitHub. So now here our repository is hello world servlet. Select it. Then, right. So if you guys remember our Maven class, there in the POM file, the first mandatory section is group ID, artifact ID, version. Right. So when the POM file is going to create, so in the POM, the first section which we need to pass here is group ID, artifact, version. So the same information here is asking group ID, artifact, version, package. Right. So now go to the repository and open the POM file, because so we have to provide the correct information. So now the correct information you can pick from the POM.xml file, not like you are going to give our own choice. Right. So now here, this is the section. What's these 4 attributes? Right. So now here the group ID, something is there, com.geekcap, something is there. So I'm going to give the group ID and the artifact ID. Hello world servlet example. And the package war file and the version. So right, so here version is here 1.0 snapshot, because it means it is still it is in the development phase. Sorry, not the version here. Here we should not give the something like the snapshots or some characters. It should be a number only here. In the artifact, the Nexus storage point, you need to pass the numbers only, not the combination of characters and words. Right, so that point we need to take in care here is, so version 1.0 has to pass, not like 1.0 snapshot. It won't take this kind of format. So now here, fine. So I have given the information like, so this is my artifact properties, group ID artifact, right? So now here where the artifact is stored, right, where the artifact is stored, so that I can pick the artifact and it will push into Nexus. So that's what the artifact path. Click on artifact path, can click on Maven artifact. Right. So you can observe the entire steps here, guys. So here integration, then and this is the repository example. So these steps can be ignored. We don't require these steps. Build. So now this we can refer this one actually. Okay. Right. So here these two project pom.xml settings and the Maven configuration. So these two are nothing but if you don't want to go with the Jenkins, right? So now here this is what the Maven build lifecycle called deploy. Deploy is nothing but pushing the artifact into some remote location. Right? How we are going to push the artifacts into some other location with the help of Maven means these two settings has to be changed. On the Maven configuration file, setting.xml file, we need to add the server block, our Nexus repository details, admin 1 2 3. And in the POM file, we need to add our Nexus repository location, so that it will push the artifacts into the so-and-so Nexus server. Inside that, the repositories and releases, like that. So with the Maven, we want to push it. But here we are not going to use the Maven to push the artifacts. We are going to use the Jenkins. The Maven only we are using for is to create the artifact. That's it. Not for the pushing and not for the SonarQube. SonarQube is a separate part we are handling, and Nexus is a separate part we are handling with the help of Jenkins, not with the Maven. So that is the reason we can skip these two slides. These two are not required. Right, so now here we need to provide the path, our file path. Right, so here as of now I'm going to save it, apply and save. Then we'll go to the location where the artifacts are going to create. Right, so let me go to the console output. So now here where lib Jenkins workspace age of target hello world.war file is the one which is going to create right inside the target. So what I'm going to do, I will take this path, copy, and I will go to the job configuration. Job configuration, then in the Maven artifact path. Right, in the Maven artifact path. So I'm going to provide the location. Here inside the target hello world.war file is the file which has to be picked up from this path and store with this properties. So now this file will be stored under this properties. We'll see how the properties are going to capture in the Nexus. Okay, so now apply and save. That's it. Build now. Let's see here. Success. Now let's go to somewhat here. This is the SonarQube setup, right? Analysis successful, and you can browse into the 9000 main SonarQube step. Done. So this is the sonar done. Now here you can see uploading Maven assets with the group ID, whatever the information we have provided, right? Artifact ID, version, and the repositories. Nothing but another releases. So now here, now our artifact is going to store under this properties under this releases repository. So now you can see here successfully uploaded Maven assets.
Shankar, I think it got stuck. Oh, you're saying the message. Okay, fine, thanks.
Okay. Okay, something with me. I'm not able to hear Teja.
Yeah, that's okay, Shankar. Nothing.
Hello, guys, able to hear me?
Yes, Shankar.
Yes, Shankar.
Yeah, any queries you're asking? Actually, my Wi-Fi is also facing problem and my mobile net also facing some problem. So, any questions? I think someone is asking something.
Nothing, Shankar. That's fine.
Nothing. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah. So now here you can observe here under the releases, right? Under the releases, you can see there is a folder created with the name COM. Right. So now here the observation here is go to the job configuration. We have given the group name as com.geekcap.vmturbo. So for each dot, when there is a separation, for each dot, it will be created a directories here, separate folders here. So now for the com, it created a directory under that geekcap, right? So here the separation from the com to getcap dot, right? Again, we have one more dot for the vmturbo. Here we're going to see one more directory for the vmturbo. This is the structure for the Maven Nexus. We are not going to define anything, so by default it will be taken something like that. So now this is what our group ID actually com.geekcap.vmturbo. Now under the group ID we are going to see the artifact ID, hello world servlet example, right? So under that you are going to see the version. So where it is, yeah, here 1.0. So now when I expand this version 1.0, there you can see these are the supported files and this is our war file. Just you want to see the only war file, I don't want to see all the supported files. So here you can go with the browse index option. Click on the browse index, then releases, com, geekcap, vmturbo, hello world 1.0, only the war file. If I select here, you can see, right, if you want to add this code in the Maven form.xml file. So this is how we need to add it. The code block, simply copy it and paste it so that the Maven is going to integrate with the Nexus for your particular project. Right, so now if the artifact you want to download, so this is the path. Easy maintenance, right? So that's what here. So now simply you can take this path and you can download it directly into your local machine. This is the path. Click on download. You don't want, you can delete it. Right. So now here I am going to rebuild the job again. Let's see what will happen. Right. So this is the job, right? This is the artifact which is stored with the name so and so. So now I will go to my job again. So I'm going to rebuild it. Click on build now. Now you can observe here, job got failed. Right? No configuration changes, nothing, right? So the same configuration without doing any changes, simply rebuild it, the job. Here it is got failed, right? So see what is the reason here. Uploading the target file is failed, right? So now here the same settings, no change, simply rebuild it, the upload failed. Means here the Nexus will not take the same version again. Duplicates are not going to take it. That is the reason this job got failed, right? So here the version 1.0 I have not changed, as it is I have deployed. I am trying to deploy it. So already version 1.0 is available here, it is present, it is exist. So now it is not allowing us, right? So now here the thing is, either change the version in the job, go to the version number and change 1.0 to 1.1 or 2.0 something, or allow the duplicates, right? Same version 1.0 should be allowed, right? So you can handle two things. One is their suggestion is don't go for the duplicate allow, simply go with the version increments as a best practice. But yes, now here my code is not stable, I want to do it later, so as of now I want to go with the duplicate allow. So there what we need to do here is, again, you should be in the admin. If you are not in the admin, you are not going to see these options actually, these options, right? So now here there is a tab called configuration. Click on the configuration and scroll down. Deployment policy is there. Access settings, deployment policy is there. This is one of the option. And here disable redeploy. It is not going to allow you redeploy for the same version. So here change it to allow. This is one of our interview question, guys. Right. So allow redeploy, then save it. So now with the same version, you can deploy it again and again. By default, it will be disabled. So now click on the job. I mean to say, go to the job and click on build now. Now it should not be failed. Success. Right. So now here that is one thing. So when you want to allow the duplicates, that option has to be, the configuration has to be changed to allow the redeploy. Right. So now the thing, okay, so fine, allow the duplicates or not. Now the thing is version maintenance, right? So as I said, it is not a version control tool. By default, it is not going to maintain any versions. We need to maintain explicitly the versions. Right. The tracking should be there. Right. So this is the build. 19 is the build. So this build for so and so changes. So and so changes, something like that. Suppose as an example. Right. So now the same changes has to be pushed into our Nexus. So now someone is asked to deploy these changes into the QA environment. How we are going to know this is the artifact I need to deploy? Because many artifacts you are going to push into the repository. So there the versions should be managed. The tracking should be there. The tracking means you need to maintain the versions. Simple, right? So here how we are going to maintain the versions. So now here we know the option is there to manage the versions. Nothing but go to the configuration and go to the repository section. There you can see there is an option called version. But how you are going to manage that? Every time are you going to go to the configuration before deploying the job, change the version, deploy? No, because we are going to set up a process, a automation process. Means there should not be any manual intervention should be there during the process. Automatically everything has to be picked up. Right? You should not go and modify always before the job deployment, not like that, right? So it has to be automated. So how we are going to automate this versions of the artifacts? Because by default no version support for the Nexus repository tool, no versioning support. So now here we need to make it as a manual automation process to maintain the versions. So for that, what we are going to do is best practice always. So whatever the build is happening here, 19th. So now this 19th has to be tagged to the war file, so that the same version 19 will be pushed to the repository tool. So now here when I want to deploy the 19 means if I go to the changes, it will show me what is the build number and what is for the change. Now I will come to know, okay, this is the change is deployed into I mean to say pushed into the Nexus. So now the same change when I want to deploy into what is called my environments, simply I'm going to refer the build number, the number inside the artifactory tool, the repository tool, like that. So like that you are going to link your build number with the artifact versions, so that it is easy for us to track what changes are went to the artifact repository tool with the number, what is the version number. So how we are going to link these two, right? So here go to the configuration section, or let me go first to the manage Jenkins. Go to the manage Jenkins and go to the configure system. So now there are some predefined variables are available in the Jenkins to pick the bill numbers, to pick the job names, to pick the status, job status, like that. Predefined variables are available. So now here I'm going to search for build, something like that. Let's see. Right, so these are the predefined variables in the Jenkins. If I use this variable project name, it is going to display my project name, like nothing but my job name. So bill number, it is going to give the bill number. This is the default. Status, the job status, success or failure. So these are the defined variables are available. You can use these variables to apply wherever you want. Right. So now here I'm going to take this bill number variable. So I want to use this bill number to manage my versions. So go to the CA job and go to the configuration, and here go to the versions property, here paste it. Dollar has to be passed. Dollar is nothing for to get the value. Bill number is the variable, and to get the value of the variable called bill number, dollar has to be passed. That's it. So automatic versioning is configured. Right. So now here 19th is the number right now. Now I'm going to build it again. Build now. So now 20th will be created, and into my Nexus, the same 20th will be pushed. Yes, 20th bill number is sorry, I mean to say 20th bill is successfully executed. Then let's go to our Nexus, and here just refresh. COM keycap VM turbo. Hello world. Now you can see 20th. Earlier 1.0 we have passed manually. Now this is the automatic versions, nothing but the bill number. So inside that I can see 20th war file. build number. So like that, you can tag the build number as a version to the var file. So this is the practice we are going to do in our real time. So we will add the build numbers to the var files, and we will push the var files into the repository tools, wherever, whatever the repository tool can be. Right. So here, this is one project. So now here I want to set up like how these segregations, like how the repositories are going to maintain. Right. So now I am going to take one more project here, something GOL. Now this data, this var files also I want to push into my Nexus. So what I will do, I will go to the configuration, and here, as of now, only the SonarQube part is there in this job. So what I am going to do, I am going to what is called invoke top level Maven targets. I require the artifact, right? To push it, I require that artifact. So Maven, so clean package. So package is the page, it is going to create the artifact. So I don't want to fail the job. So that is the reason I'm going to remove this part. So then once the package is ready, we need to push it. So go to the add build step, then Nexus repository manager publisher. So here the same, add the Nexus, and I want to push into the same releases, add package, Maven package. So now I require this particular project group ID artifact ID version. So I will go to the GitHub repository, then I will choose the repository for my project. So this one. So here, what is called POM, right? POM is the file. Go to the POM file. Now here, this is the one. So com.bacalo.game of life is the group ID, and game of life dollar build hyphen what is it underscore. Let's see. Build number package is a var file, and the artifact. Right. So I want to see the path of the artifact. So for that, I will go to the. Okay. Anyway, we are not at what is called created any artifact. Simply this job is using for only to generate the SonarQube, right? So let me build the job, and we'll get the path, then we'll give the path in that particular Nexus publisher. So first I'm going to build it. This build is only for to get the path, that's it. Job got failed. Okay, let it be failed, no issues. So here, so this is my path, my var file path. So copy the path, then go to the configuration, and here the file path, provide it. Right. So now here I want to see whether build underscore number or build hyphen number. So I will save it. Go to the other job, save job, configuration, Build underscore is a number. Let me copy it. Configure. Right. So group ID, artifact ID, package are picked from the pom.xml file, and this is our automatic versions, and this is from the console output where the artifact file is going to generate the path. Yeah. So usually the path will be Jenkins home location, where lib Jenkins. Inside the Jenkins home location, we will be having a directory called workspace. Inside the workspace, we are going to have our job. Inside the job, these directories are going to create. So now we remove that path, and we have taken the exact directory path where the artifacts are going to store. So apply and save, and click on build now. Right. So here now the job is successful, and go to the Nexus. Now try to refresh it. Now here you can see com. Inside the com, we are going to see two subdirectories. One is for the hello world, and the second one is the our newly what is called game of life project. So let's open the game of life project and see Wakalo game of life. Right. So now com Wakalo game of life is the group ID, this part. Then game of life is the artifact ID. Version is 9. Right. So here, what are the build number? 9. Right. It is stored as a version here, and another version you can see the file will be added to the version and var file. Right. So likewise, we are going to push the artifacts into the Nexus repository with the build numbers. Then later on, we are going to deploy these artifacts into our web servers like Apache, Tomcat, right, JBoss, like that. So that's for the CD process. Right. So now here in our CA process, again I am repeating. Right. So the first step will be take the code from the version control tool. Then check means run the unit test cases. If the unit test cases pass, and run the code quality. Now the code quality is passed, then create the artifact. Once the artifact is created, then push the artifact into the repository tool. Right, these are the steps usually. Right, so then next step will be deployment, CD part. right? So now the CD part is nothing but whatever the web servers you are having on the web servers, deploy the code, whatever the war files you have created, deploy the code into the web servers like Apache or Tomcat. So then validate, leave it means send a notification to the team, deployment is done. Then once the people receive the email, then they will go and see, validate the environments. Like suppose the dev environment, development team will go and validate it. If it is a QA environment, and testing team will go and validate it, like that. So they're going to validate the code on the environments, and they will give the sign-offs. Based on the sign-offs, the code will move to the next levels, right? So now here, the CA part is done. Now we'll see the CD part, nothing but the deployment part, nothing but the artifact deployment into your web servers, right? So now this is the process we are seeing on the monolithic way, a complete package of the application in the form of war files or jar files. Now this complete pack will be deployed, monolithic way of deployment process. Now next, in our Docker and Kubernetes, we are going to see the application in the microservice way of deployments. The second way, we'll see that thing in later, so it's not in right now. So now here we'll see the deployment part with the help of the plugins. Again, the complete story we are going to see in the form of GUI only, graphical user interface, which we are not going to use in the real time. But if you understand this process clearly, converting into the pipelines will be easy. That's it, right? So now we'll see with the plugins how to deploy the code into the web servers, right? So we will take a Tomcat server and we'll deploy these war files into the Tomcat server, right? So before going to that, we'll take a 15 minutes break, guys. Okay, so then we'll come back and we'll see the other parts. Fine.
Okay.
Fine, Shankar. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Then we'll meet after 15 minutes. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for remembering. So right. So here, lightweight machine can be taken. No configuration is required. T2 micro. So configuration details. Event launch, straight launch. Ohio, and my key is Ohio. Right. So.
Shankar?
Yes, please.
Is it recording? I cannot see that option.
See, yeah, no? It is recording. Started recording in progress.
Okay.
We're not able to see the recording button. I'm like, oh, yeah, now
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
I started recording. Yes, Chris. Tell me, Chris.
No. We couldn't see the screen changing because it was stuck on the other page, but I think it's working now.
It's working now. Okay, fine. Yeah. So right. So here, this is the Tom. Right. I will share these documents to you guys after the class. So this is the Tomcat setup. So now again, the Tomcat also implemented on top of the Java. So that is the reason we required Java on the Tomcat machine. So installation of Java can be done in multiple ways. Right. So you guys know star means wildcard characters. Take anything after 1.8. So take all the packages, or give 1.8 point OpenJDK, Java OpenJDK, something like that. Anything is fine. So now here, first connect to the Tomcat server. Whatever the missions just now we have created, I am going to treat this mission as a Tomcat server, my web server. Tomcat. Now connect this server, copy, and connect it. So now my first step is Java installation. So install the Java. Done. Then the next step, environment variable configuration. So Java home and the JRE home. I am not taking any backups. I have ignored that command, taking the backup, and straight away I'm going to copy the JRE home and Java home steps. So etc profile echo Java underscore home. Java is ready. Then Tomcat installation. Right. So now you will require the Tomcat binary, the package, so that I can set up the Tomcat into my one of the virtual machine or one of the instance called our web server, like our AWS instance. So now this is the location where you can download the binaries, the Tomcat packages. Tomcat.apache.org is the site. Right. So now here, let me take this link and go to the browser. Right here you can see the Tomcat website, Apache Tomcat website. Here, scroll down, we can see the binaries list. Right, so now here you can see the Windows one and the Linux one. So now take the tar.gz file. If I click on this one, what will happen is going to download into my local, nothing but my laptop. But here I require to download into my Linux machine, which is AWS instance. So don't click on here, right click and copy the link address. Then go to the new server, the Tomcat one, and wget and the link, the tar file. Right, the same thing I have given here also. Right click on the highlight tar file and select the copy link address and download it. Right, so enter. ls is the tar file. We need to extract it. Press tar -xvf, then the tar file. Extracted 8.5.57. Let's extract the tar file. Done. So now, right, as I said, all the executable file for any service will be under the bin directory. Correct? So go to the bin directory where I can find my Tomcat executable files. So now let's go to the directory which was extracted. So cd apache tomcat, then here this is the one, bin cd bin ls. Now in the bin you can find two files, shutdown.sh, startup.sh. So these are the two files which we are going to use for to start the Tomcat service and to start the Tomcat service. Right, so here go to the bin directory and give the permissions. So what is the permissions are required? The executable permissions, so that I am going to execute this file to start and stop the Tomcat service. Right, so here ls-l. As of now, the owner, nothing but the root, is having the executable permission X, and the group also will be having the executable permission, but not for the others. But here, if I give the service to service means the access to anyone, so that anyone can start the or stop the Tomcat service, or leave it, so that the only owner or the group people can start or stop. So I'm going to use chmod +x startup.sh and shutdown.sh, so that we'll get the executable permission for all the folks xxx. But it is not mandatory, because already the owner and group are having the executable permission, so that we can leave it. But for others also, if you want to give, you can add this permissions, otherwise leave it. Right, then create a soft link. Right, so instead of referring to, if I want to stop the file, I need to point to this path, root, wherever the Apache is downloaded from that bin startup.sh, like how I have shown you in the Nexus. Right, so instead of doing all the stuff, create a soft link, a shortcut, some name. Right, so ln-s is the command to create a soft link. So now I will take this command, copy, then here by that time when I prepared this PPT, by that time 42 is the latest version of the Tomcat, 8.5.42. Now it is 8.5.57. So guys, so when you are trying to set up here, you require to change the version. Otherwise, you is trying to point to the old version which was not available on your system, is going to throw you some kind of error message. So please take care. The version has to be pointed correctly. Okay. Right. So now ln-s. So now here I need to change my version number. So what are the version I have downloaded into my local? I'm going to say into the server. Right. So here the version number is 8.5.7. So I'm going to change it to 8.5.57. This is required. That's it. Then the name, the shortcut, the soft link I'm going to create for the startup.sh as a Tomcat start. In the same fashion, for the stop also, to stop the Tomcat, so I'm going to create a soft link for the stop also with the name tomcat.stop, not the dot, tomcat stop. So simply change the 42 to 57. What are the version you have downloaded? So now take the command and run on the server, and take the command for the stop, run on the server. Done. Right. So now the next step, try to start the Tomcat. etc initd. Right. There are two ways. One is the service command, or the second one is etc initd, then the service name. Now you can see Tomcat started. Right. So try to access it. Right. You can see the Tomcat is started. Now try to access the Tomcat application by using the browser. Right. So again, the same story. Right. By default, the port will be 22. You have to allow the port of 8080. So go to the security group, actions, inbound rule, add. I'm going to give all traffic, anywhere, save. So now go to the dashboard and pick the server, pick the instance, the Tomcat one, and take the public IP. And here IP followed by the default port number of Tomcat is 8080. The same means Jenkins port number. Tomcat is ready. 8.5.57 is the version. Right. So now here we are going to use this Tomcat to deploy our applications. We are going to use this as a web server so that people can access our application by using the internet. Right. So now here to deploy the applications on the Tomcat application means our applications into the Tomcat application. So into the Tomcat, if I want to deploy our code, so there the option will be manager app. So manager app is the option which we are going to use to deploy our code. Right. Let's try to click on the manager app. Access is denied. By default, the manager app will not provide access to us so that you can go to the manager app and deploy the code. This is the default. Now we are going to change the configuration of the Tomcat so that you can use the manager app for the code deployment. That's where the changes are required from the Tomcat side, where the changes are required. So now the changes are required in the context.xml file. So by default, the manager is only accessible from the browser running on the same machine as a Tomcat. If you wish to modify the restriction, you will need to edit the manager's context.xml file. So now this context.xml file has to be modified to provide the access to the user. Right. So where can I find this Tomcat this context.xml file? So this context.xml file will be located in two places. Right? So this is the step, and we are trying to click on the manager app. 403 error we got. Then the next step will be changing the context.xml file. Right. So now here changing the means update, modifying the context.xml file. So as I said, we are going to find this file in two places. One is host manager. One is the host manager directory, and the second one is manager directory. Both will be under web apps directory. So now we need to change the file in two places. One is under the host manager, and the second one is under the manager. Right. So now here 8.5.4742 old one. Now my version is 8.5.57. So now I will go to my Tomcat location. So cd dot. I am in the 8.5.57 under root. Right. I am inside the Tomcat path. So under that, go to the web apps. Right. ls. So this is the one. Now go to the web apps and ls. You can see two directories, host manager and the manager. Host manager and the manager. Under the both the directories, you are going to see one more directory called meta inf. First I am going to the host manager, and here you are going to see two directories, web.inf and meta. So now we need to go to the meta inf. cd meta inf. Now this is the file context. Open the context.xml file. Then here we require to comment the value block. So this one we need to comment out this wall block so that it is going to allow the access. To allow the access, we require to comment this block. Right. So now here to comment this block, because since it is a XML file, in the XML file, it is an XML file. In the XML file, if you want to comment the code, then the notation will be starting point and this is the ending point. So now all these lines are commented out. It is started from here, the commented section started here and it ends here. So now when I want to comment these two lines, I need to pass the starting section here, I need to end at this line. So right, so here what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the commented notation. Starts here. So now go to the next line, go to the end of the line, then here hyphen greater than. So this is the way of commenting a code in the XML file. Right. So now the code is commented out in the host manager of the file called context.xml file. Then save it. Now go to the next one, the manager. So come back, go to the manager. Same section, same file, no difference. Manager, and go to the meta, and the same file you are going to see here, via context.xml. So now here go to the wall block. Commented out. Right. So now once the code is commented out, right, try to restart the Tomcat so that these changes are going to apply. Right. So here to restart means stop and start. etc initd Tomcat stop. Then start. Now go to the browser and try to refresh. Remove this part 8080. Now try to click on manager app. Now the error should be right. The error should not be displayed. Now you can see here it is going to ask you the username and password so that you can perform the operations. Nothing but to deploying the code. To deploy the code, you can deploy the code and you can manage the code. Manage the code means the WAR files here, not the development code. Right. So to manage the deployments by using this manager app, but you require an access. A user has to be created. Right. So now here, as of now, no user is there in the my configuration of the Tomcat. So let's create a user, and with the help of the user, connect to your manager app. Right. So now here, I will go back to my Tomcat server and I will create a user so that I'm going to use that user to connect to the manager app of the Tomcat. Right. So here, let's go to the slide again. This section is done. We started Tomcat. Now we are at this page. It is going to ask the username and password. Right. So now here in the Tomcat, creation of users. Creation of users in the Tomcat will be a file called tomcat-users.xml file. There is a file called tomcat-users.xml file. In the file, you need to provide the users information. Right. So now when in the Tomcat, if you want to create any user, the process will be first we require to create a role. Create a role for the user and add the roles to the user. So what is the role here? The permissions. What kind of permissions you want to give to the user, that is nothing but the role in the Tomcat. So now create the roles and add the roles to the user. So this is the two-step process in the Tomcat. Right. So where you are going to create all this stuff, we are going to create inside the file called tomcat-users.xml file. This is the one. So where you are going to find this file? Under the Tomcat installation, you are going to see a directory called conf. Conf is the directory. Under the configuration. Conf means configuration. Under the conf directory, you are going to find this file. The file is nothing but tomcat-users.xml file. Let's go and see. Right. So now I am in the meta-inf. Come back from the manager and come back from the web apps also. Now I am inside my Apache Tomcat location. So ls. Now we are going to see here conf. Go to the conf and ls. Here you are going to see a file called tomcat-users.xml file. This is the file we are going to use to create the users. Open the file. They are going to give you the instructions, the documentation, how to create this user, what is the purpose, something like that. This is the documentation. So now this is an example. See here, code is commented out here. Every block is commented out. Right. So this is the main section. It is not commented out. Then rest of the things are documentation. So how to create the users here. So now this is an example they have provided. Create a role, then create the users and add the roles. What are the roles you want to add? As I said, two steps process. Create the roles and add the roles to the users. This is the syntax of the Tomcat. We need to follow that shit. Right. So now here I'm going to create a role so that I want to give all the permission so that he can manage anything. The user can manage it. Means he is like an admin. So for that, these are the roles we need to provide. We need to create manager GUI, manager scripts, manager JMX, manager status. Means that on this manager app, all the operations, all the permissions we are providing. This is the syntax. Now these are the roles we have created 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to create a username, admin, and password. Then the roles. In the roles, I am going to add all the roles so that you will be getting all the permissions of this particular manager app. Right. So let's take this code block, copy, and go to the Tomcat server. Right. So here you can see this is the commented section. Right. So under the commented section, I am going to add my code block. So careful here. So you need to place the code block outside of the comment block. Don't put inside the comment block. Otherwise, your code also will be commented out. So this is a comment block, don't put inside, and this is also comment block, don't put inside. So try to place outside of the comment block, something like this. Or else blindly add the code before this last line, Tomcat users blindly, right? So now here roles are created and the roles are assigned to whom? To the user called admin, and the password also I have given as admin. So right, so now a user is ready, a user is created, he is having all the permissions of this manager app. Save. Then again configuration, right? So let's stop and start the Tomcat. It is INITD Tomcat. Then start. Now go to the browser and try to refresh once. Now enter admin. Now we can see Tomcat Web Application Manager. This is the area which is required for us. Right, so now here application deployment. Application means here the artifacts, WAR files or jar files. These artifacts deployment into the Tomcat can be done in two ways. One is the graphical user interface, this one. The second one is through the code, through the code. Again, real time code only, no GUI part. But yes, I am trying to show you the options. How many ways are there to deploy the code. So this is the one way. Easily you can deploy the code with the help of GA. Right. So now these are the apps, like default apps, which is showing here. So now here, if you guys scroll down, deploy a directory or WAR file located on server. If the WAR file is in separate server, you can use this block. Or if the WAR file in the same server on your same mission, then you can use this file, WAR to deploy. So choose the file, and here you can go to the location. Like suppose this is a WAR file, select it and open. That's it. Automatically, the code will be deployed. Straightforward. Choose the file and deploy. WAR file deployment. And this is the GA part to deploy the code. But yes, again, the process means no manual intervention. You should not come here and deploy manually. It has to be done by your process. What is the process? CI/CD process, continuous integration, continuous deployment process. Correct. So now here, how we are going to handle this one with our CA process. Now we are seeing the process with the GUI mode, graphical user interface mode, nothing but the freestyle jobs with the help of the plugins. Right. So now we are going to see the process with the help of the plugins with the nothing but the GUI mode of deployment. Right. So now the Tomcat server is ready. Keep it aside. Now go to the Jenkins. Right. So now go to our job. My job is CA job. Go to the CA job. Right. So then here I need to add one more step into my CA job, nothing but the deployment step. Once my continuous integration is done, artifact is created and push it. So now I need to add one more step to deploy the code. Right. Now here to deploy the code, I have a Tomcat server. Now the Tomcat server has to be integrated with my Jenkins. Then only the Jenkins can communicate with the Tomcat and the code can be pushed, deployed like our SonarQube or Nexus, right? So now here, we don't require a separate integration of the server from the Jenkins to Tomcat or Tomcat to Jenkins. Like the configuration system is not required. The plugin will be taken care. The plugin will be taken care of, integration and the deployment also. We don't require a separate configuration like Nexus or the SonarQube. The server's configuration, server's integration. Right. So now here the first thing again, story will be the same. Any service, anything, plugins. The plugin is required. Right. So now here, what is the plugin which I need so that I can deploy the code into my Tomcat server? So in the Jenkins, there is a plugin called deploy to var. Deploy to var is a plugin which is going to use to deploy the code. Code in the sense artifacts. They deploy the artifacts into the our web servers. Right. So now here I will go to the Jenkins and I will go to the manage Jenkins. Go to the manage plugins. Go to the available section. Then try to search for deploy to var or deploy to container. The plugin name will be. Let's see what is the name here. The plugin name deploy to container. The plugin name is deploy to container. Select download now and install after restart. Restart the server. Here not the server, sorry, the application, Jenkins application. Log into the application, Shankar and Shankar. Right. So now here, go to the job. Go to the configuration. Postable actions and scroll down here, add postable actions. Here you can see deploy var or EAR to a container. Right, this will be comes once after the plugin is installed. Otherwise, you are not going to see this option here. So select this option. Now, what is the means the var file location, right? So here you can go to the help also where the var files are located, right? They are going to provide the example also. Suppose you don't know the location, give star star means it will take the entire location until to the home where live Jenkins. From the where live Jenkins to it will go to the complete path. Inside that it will search for the var file. The file name can be anything, simple. So then the context, right? So here what is the name you want to see on the Tomcat application, Tomcat server on the Tomcat application. So now here I want to see as a hello world servlet, some name, context path. Context container should be publish the var file or ER file, like the name what we want to see, something like that. So right, so let's see. Then your Tomcat or the web server information, add containers, right? So this deploy to container is not only going to support only the Tomcat, is going to support the other web servers also, like Glassfish, JBoss, and Tomcat, right? So with the help of this plugin, you can deploy the code into the Glassfish web servers, or the JBoss web servers, or the Tomcat web servers. The same plugin can be used into 3 web servers. It can be used for 3 web servers. So now here, what is the Tomcat version? Right. So our Tomcat version is 8 point, I think, right? So 8.5.57, right? So here you can see different Tomcat versions here. So from the 8.4 it started. So let's go to 8.8 series. This one. Now the credentials. Right, as of now, I have only the Nexus one and the GitHub one. So I'm going to add the credentials of the Tomcat. Admin, Tomcat credentials, add. So now here you can see Tomcat credentials also added. Now the URL, my Tomcat URL, right? Where the web server is, on which mission the web server is hosted, the mission IP address, and followed by the port number, the Tomcat port number. That's it. Right. So now deploy to var and ER containers, we need to provide the artifact location, then some name, so that the name can be displayed on the Tomcat server, and the Tomcat server details along with the credentials. Now apply and save. Right. So here, if I see, as of now, a slash our applications path / docs example host manager. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So now let's go to the job and click on build now. Right here, the last step in the postable actions, attempting to deploy one var files. Right. So now the var file location will be Jenkins home location. Inside that workspace, inside that CI job, there you can find a directory called target. Inside that the var file is located. I have given star, right? So this star means take the entire location, search it in the entire location, and the var file, if the var file is found, pick it up. Then 8.x is the series our one, and is deployed into the our Tomcat, what's called Tomcat web server. Done. So now go to the Tomcat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are there. Now try to refresh. Now see, hello world servlet is added. This is the name I have given in the context path. Correct. So in the context path, whatever the name you have provided, the path will be displayed here. That's what the context path. Right. So hello world servlet is deployed here into a Tomcat web server. So now I want to access the application. Right. So to access the application, simply click on this. This is the application. Right. So server followed by and the context path. What are the name you have provided? Right. So this is the traditional process earlier, which the build and release team is used to deploy the code into the servers with the help of our Jenkins plugins, CA and CD. Right. So now here, if I want to deploy, right, usually by the time like 2 to 3 servers, now the servers are increased like 10 to 20 servers, something like that, right? Deploying into multiple servers, that is a headache task. One server, straightforward, simply can do it. But when you want to manage 10 web servers, The 10 web servers has to be installed on fly, and the 10 web servers should be done on fly, the configurations, and the code has to be deployed. Everything should be on fly. You should not spend some amount of time to install, to configure, to deploy. That's what the old process. So there, to overcome those situations, the tools like Ansible, Chef, Puppet came into the picture to manage the infrastructure configurations, software installations, and configurations. Like it's a one server, 100 servers, or lakhs of servers. Those guys will take care. Your job is to write the code and push the code, right? So now here, whatever the Tomcat server I have configured here, these steps. Now I want to set up 10 servers, right? If you do manually, it will take huge amount of time. Now the playbooks or the cookbooks are going to play the role. We'll see with the Ansible stuff. That is a different story again, right? So now here, with the help of the plugin, now I can deploy the code into my Tomcat, right? Suppose I have two web servers. I have two web servers. I want to deploy the code into two web servers. Now how this plugin is going to play the role, because right now I can see only one server information I can provide there, so that my Jenkins is going to connect to the one server and is deploying the code, something like this, right? So now if you have multiple servers, then if you want to deploy the code with the help of the plugin, then yes, that is also possible. That is also possible, deploying the code into multiple web servers, more than one server. So for that, go to the configuration again. Now go to the post build section. Here you can see the option called add containers again. So click on and click on the some, right? Again, you can add like that. You can add multiple containers to deploy the code into multiple servers, more than one server if you are having. Right? Anyway, we are not going to use this process, right? For the understanding sake, I am going to tell you this, because sometimes people will ask many questions around this deployment, right? You should be in a position like you should answer, right, at any kind of question, right? So now here, this is the process with the help of the plugins, deploying the code into our web server. So now let's take the other job also. Try to see, deploy the code, deploy the WAR file of the other job, like the game of life. I want to deploy the other job into my Tomcat web server. Right, so let's go to this job, click on configuration, go to the post build actions, deploy to var here to container, and here same. I am going to give */*star.var, and here I am going to give game of life, add container, credentials. Already we have created the credentials, no need to create again and again, right? Simply select it. Then the Tomcat URL, same, the same server I am going to use. Copy, paste it, apply, save. Click on build now. right? Success, right? So here is not deployed, attempting deploy, but here is showing us it is not deployed. Let's see, refresh. No, it is deployed actually. So the message is wrong. Doing a fresh deployment. Yes, here you can see it is not deployed, but again it's tried, then it's deployed. So now here you can see here the name, whatever the context path I have given, game of life. Right? Multiple applications can be deployed into the same server, same web server. Right? So now when I want to access this application, click on the path. A kind of application. Click on new game. This is an application, a simple application. Okay. My website is blocking here. This is my office laptop. This is blocking. You guys can access the application. There is a simple application. You can see it here. Right. So now in this fashion, we can deploy multiple applications into the same web server. Right. So now here, I don't want it. This application. You can click on undeploy. You can manage from the GUI, right? You can stop the application for some time. You can reload it. If you stop, you can start it. Right. So if the session is idle for more than 30 minutes, expire. That's what, right? When you are trying to work with the application, if you are not using the application, then for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it's going to expire. The page is going to expire, right? That kind of configurations here. Right. So undeploy means you're going to remove the application from the Tomcat web server. So this is from the front end point of view. Right. So now in the back end, I want to see the same thing in the back end, means the location of the WAR file deployment. That's what our interview question. One of the interview question. What is the location of the WAR files or the artifacts if you are trying to deploy into the Tomcat server? The location will be the web apps directory. We need to tell web apps is the directory. So now here, go to the Tomcat. CD Apache Tomcat ls. This is the one. Web apps. CD web apps ls. Hello world war file, game of life war file. Right. So this is the location of the deployment of a code nothing but the war files or the artifacts into the Tomcat. The directory name will be the web app. Right. So now here I don't want the hello world servlet. Undeploy. I am going to remove it. That is gone. Right. So now here ls. See, that is gone. Hello world servlet is gone. Right. So likewise, you can manage the applications on the Tomcat web server. One is with the help of the plugins. The second way is simply from the GUI. So choose file. Try to see any WAR files are available here in my. I have sample.war file. That some WAR files are ready. So let's see. So now this WAR file I want to deploy with the help of GUI. So selected it, open, deploy. Done. So deployment is done. Now you can see hello world application. The name is sample. Access the application. Click on the application. This is sample world application. Deploying the application, deploying the code into the Tomcat by using app manager, by using the application, something like this, right? Or with the help of the Jenkins, with the help of the plugins, automation, something like that, right? So now let's see here. Let's go to our CA job. If you guys observe the CA job, you can see huge amount of configurations, changes on the job side. Integrations, webhooks, build steps, sonar steps, repository step, pushing the step, post build actions, publishing, right? Then finally quality gate checks, deploy to var, right? But now we know where each and every step, right? So this is what the CI/CD, right? Now we know, right? Each and every step we know how to integrate and how to set up. That's what we need to do actually. Split it into parts, then try to understand part wise. Instead of going each and every one, take one by one. Try to analyze this step if you are seeing any new steps in the process. But most of the time, 85 to 90%, these are the common steps for any CI/CD. But it will be in the form of code, not like the plugins like this. Okay. So now in our CI/CD, the last step is nothing but the communication step, right? So once the job is successfully completed or failed, the people has to know, right? So now how the people are going to know this job got failed or the code got deployed? That's what the communication. So now your Jenkins can communicate with your email servers. Communicate means integrate with your email servers, then it can send emails to the people, right? So how the email configuration can be done on the Jenkins, right? So now for that, go to the Jenkins, manage Jenkins, configure system. Again, configure system we are going to use to integrate the SMTP server with the Jenkins. Right? Select. Then go to bottom at the end. We are going to see email notification, right? So now here the email notification means the communication with the email server is like your networking team in your organization. Your networking team, your IT department are going to provide these details, your SMTP server details. Then by using those details, we are going to configure in our Jenkins, right? So now here for the practice, right? So we cannot use any other SMTP servers. So I am going to use the Gmail one, Gmail server. So for my to check my build status, right? So for that, the first one is provide the SMTP server details. The Gmail server details has to be provided because I'm going to use the Gmail SMTP server. So Gmail SMTP server name is smtp.gmail.com standard. This is the standard name for the Gmail SMTP server. Then click on advanced. Right. So now here from whom we are going to send the email. Right. So the person details are required, like the admin from the Jenkins admin. Right. So here use SMTP authentication. Now here who is the person who is going to send the emails? Like the admin. So right here I am going to provide my details and my password. Enable the SSL secure socket layer. Then the Gmail SMTP port number is 465 default. All the details you guys can find in our PPT. This is the PPT. Right, if you guys zoom it, smtp.gmail.com, username and password, enable the SSL, port number is 465. All the details. Just provide those details. Here we are checking with the Gmail. In our real time, we are going to use our company organization SMTP email server. So now here, let me go to the my SMTP configuration, and if it is successfully configured or not, you can check it here. So to check, click on the test, then provide the test email, like a email. Suppose I'm going to send to myself only. Click on test configuration. Email was successfully sent. Right. So go to I will go to my Gmail. I am into the same RAKNS000. Right. So here you can see test email. Select it. The test email sent from the Jenkins. Right. So usually when you are trying the same configuration, by default Gmail will be blocked because we are going to provide the authentication, like our username and password, to the third-party tool called Jenkins. Now the Gmail is going to block it, like it is going to fish it, right? So someone is trying to use your username and password and trying to send in emails. So due to the reason, it is going to block. So now you need to say the Google like it was me, not by someone. Then it's going to allow us to the communication can be sent from the Gmail can be sent from this application, right? So for that, two changes needed. Two changes means one is we need to allow less app secure, right? So this is the I have given the path also. Just simply open this path. If the email is not successfully sent, if you are facing an issue, means the Gmail is blocking, not the other issues. So for that, just open this link. Here you can see allow less secure app on, make it on, so that your Jenkins, it is going to tightly secured. If you make it less main, so it is going to allow the Jenkins to communicate with your Gmail server. Or else go to here and go to the settings. Anyway, the settings we are going to see settings, not the settings, not this. Click on account. Yes, click on account. Then here you can see a option called security. Click on the security. Then scroll down. Here you can see somewhere less secure app access. I make it as on. So here you can click on. You can, if you off it, it is not going to allow you the Jenkins to send the emails. You have to make it as on. Right. So go to here and click on the account. Then from the account, right, go to the security. Then scroll down. There you can see an option called less secure app access. Make it as on. Right. This is not your Jenkins issue. This is not a Jenkins configuration issue. This is the issue with the Google, because the Google is not allowing us to make the communication with the Jenkins, because it is going to think as someone is trying to use your credentials, not by you. Right. So this is one thing you need to do. The second one is it is going to send an email like someone is trying to access your credentials. Then you have to say like it was me. Like you are going to see critical security alerts. You are going to receive emails to your Gmail. Then here you can see check activity. Click on the check activity. Then here you need to say it was me. Here is going to set it was me or not. A button will say you have to click on here. So these two things you need to take care. Yes, like this. Yes, it was me. That's it. So that the Google will allow the Jenkins to send an email. So one is make the less secure app on, then once you receive the email from the Google, click on yes, it was me. That's it. Right. So then this communication is going to happen. Right. So now once my email communication is successfully done, communication means the configuration, then I'm going to remove this tick mark. I don't need to test it again and again. Now click on apply and save. Then go to the job, CI job, right? So now this job requires the email communication to the people, to the team. So for that, I will go to the configuration of the job. Then it is in a post build action, right? Once all the activities are completed, then only you want to send a email communication. Add post build. Then here you can see email notification. Click on here. Then like if you have the DL distribution list, right? So your organization is going to provide the DLs, right? Then you can pass the DL here or in email names by giving the comma, the people emails. So now I want to send email to this guy. When the email is going to send email for every unstable build, send a separate emails to individuals who broke the build. So in both the cases, nothing but the failure cases only. If separate emails will be sent, who broke the bill? Shankar fails the bill. Shankar triggered the job and it failed the bill. Then Shankar will receive email, individual email. Now, any case, if the bill is failed, I want to send an email like that. So both the cases for to send the email when the bill is failed, right? So let's see here. I am going to click on apply and I am going to click on save. Then I am going to run the job. 22 is the bill number. Right. So now at this case, we should not receive an email because my previous bills are successful. My configuration of email is if the bill is failed, then only that email is going to send. Otherwise, it is not going to trigger any emails. Right. To see that use case, just I trigger the bill. Right. So now here we are not going to receive any emails. So right. So let's see. The job is successfully done, and if I go to the console output, I am not going to see any log for the email communication. No logs and nothing, only war file deployment I can see. Right. So now let me go to my Gmail, go to the inbox. Right. Only the test email I can see, no other emails from the Jenkins. Now fail the build. Go to the job. I want to fail this build. Click on configuration. And here I am going to add one more character here. Right. So now the clean is the Maven build command. Now I made it as a WA so that the Maven won't understand what is the clean, so that the job is going to fail. Intentionally, I want to fail this job. Now click on build now. The job got failed. Right. So you must specify a goal. Unknown lifecycle page clean. The system is the Maven is not able to understand. That is fine because we want it to fail. So now scroll down. You can see here sending emails to the people. Right. For the failure case, I want to send an email. Yes, it is sending. It is now here you can see build fail in Jenkins CA job. What is the job here? CA job. And what is the bill number? 23. Right? The same I can see here. Then these are the details, the job details, the log also they can verify. They don't require to go to the job. Simply they can verify from here everything, the team. Right? So likewise, we are going to configure the emails with the Jenkins, and we are going to send the emails to the team. Right? So now here, let's see the case again. I am going to modify my configuration. Okay, fine. Right? The clean is not the correct one. Extra A is added in the build page. So now I'm going to remove the A so that I want to make the build pass. So let's go to the build cycle again and change it. Apply, save. Now build it now. Now this job is going to, the job is going to be successful. Releases from Geekcap, VM Turbo, Hello World, 22, right? Because 23 is failed. You cannot see the 23 and the artifacts. Only to next will be 24, like that. Open the console output and see the build is successful. You can see the blue color. Scroll down, sending email. Right, it's a weird case. Right, the plugin is clearly saying that the emails are going to send only for the failure cases. But now here I can see, even though my job is successfully executed, still I am going to receive the emails. Right, so here what the plugin is going to do here is, usually it will work for only for the failure bills. But once the issue is fixed, the immediate build which is successful, that for that build is going to send an email, not the next builds again. Right, now this is an immediate fix. Once the job is got failed, 24 is the fix, 23 is failed. Right, so now the email is going to tell us the people, now the build is back, it is normal. To convey this message, what the plugin will do, what are the fix, nothing but whatever the successful run after the failures, for the run it is going to send an email. That is what here you can see, build is back to normal. So now try to rerun it again. Now we are not going to receive any emails for the successful ones. Like that the configuration of that particular email plugin. Okay, now that is fine. Right, so now basically we don't require for the successful builds, because many builds are going to successful. If you are going to configure for the successful builds also email, then the huge amount of emails we are going to see in our inbox, which is not required. Basically we required for the failure ones. That is the reason the plugin is designed something like that. But some projects required even though the build is successful. It's not like only the failures I wanted. Right, some projects are required both the cases. If the build is failed or if the build is passed, I want an email. Or with any reason the job got failed, I want the email. Right, I want the email notification for at any cost, at any case. So now that plugin is not going to work. Now see, 25th is successfully executed, the continuation of the 24th. Now if I go to the console output, there we are not going to see any kind of email communication. Right, so if I go to my inbox, I cannot see any 25th. So that's what the configuration of the email one, that particular plugin. Now my requirement is any cost, at any case I want an email, success or failure. So there this plugin is not the suitable one, correct? Because clearly it is saying only for the unstable, only for the failures I am going to send the email, not for any other cases. No other options we are going to see, correct? So there what we need to do here is we need to do some configuration changes again. If you want to send an email for at any cost, go to the manage Jenkins, then go to the configure system again, click on the configure system, right? So if I scroll down to the last, to the bottom, there I can see email notification block, the configuration block, correct? The last part. Still it is loading. Right. So now scroll down. This is the last one, right? This is not the one which I am looking for actually. My requirement is not satisfied with this configuration. So now we will be having a separate block, separate configuration for the requirement, nothing but at any case I want an email. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Here you can see one more block called extended email notification. This is the block which we require to configure so that at any case we are going to receive the emails, right? So the same settings, no difference here. So SMTP server details, smtp.gmail.com. Suffixes, I don't have anything. And here click on the advanced section, use SMTP and the email from whom you want to send an email, then the authentication, then enable SSL 465. That's it, right? So now there are the extra properties which you are going to see so that you can pass these details along with the email, right? So in the subject, so this is the content is going to receive and the default content. If you want to add extra, you can add it here. So these are the extra properties. So then apply and save. Extended email notification is the step. We have configured our SMTP server details. The same details need to be provided in the extended email configuration. So once the configuration is done, then go to your job again. See a job. Go to the job configuration. Now go to the post bill actions. Wherever the email step is there, this is not the one which I am looking for. So I'm going to remove this. Now click on add post bill actions. Now here go to the option editable email notification. Don't choose the email notification. Now we need to choose editable email notification. Click on this one. Now we are going to see the properties of the editable email notification one, right? So here you can see you can add the properties project from, you can provide the details so that in the email whatever the content you are passing here, that will be displayed. Recipient list, you can add the persons to here, and here you can add the content type, default subject, default content. These are the default properties the Jenkins has taken. If you want to add your own, you can add it here, right? So then you want to add the report. If you want to add any attachments, yes, we can add the attachments also, the reports, the .zip files or tar files or XML files, whatever HTML files, the reports along with the email. You want to send a reports, yes, you can send the reports also. This is what And bill logs, you want to add the bill logs, yes, you can attach the bill logs also, right? Many things you can do it here. So then you can see a option called advanced settings. So click on advanced settings, then here scroll down. Now here you can see triggers at the end. Now the triggers here it is showing as a default failure for any kind of failures. Let's remove this one. Then click on add trigger. Right. So now when this email, editable email has to be triggered, when you want to trigger it. So these are the cases. If the job got aborted for any reason, the job got aborted. So yes, I want an email for the aborted one only. Always, any case, at any case, with any reason, my Jenkins job is failed, I want an email. It's a pass or it's a fail or it's a aborted, it's unstable, whatever the case, I want it. Before the build is going to start, I want an email. This is only for the first failures, not for the repeated failures. I don't want the repeated failures, only for the first. For the second, like that, there are many cases for the success. Many cases it is going to provide us triggers. So now at any cost, I want an email. So simply select always. At any cost means at any case. So now it's going to add the trigger here. So now by default it's going to send the developers list, receipts list, means we need to add those lists here. So as of now we don't have any separate list, so remove it. Then click on advanced. Now here you can see there is a option called recipient list, right? So here add the recipients, nothing but I want to send to me. Again I'm going to add it, comma, provide the other, otherwise provide the DL, right? So now this trigger is nothing but always is going to trigger and is going to send the email to this guy with the details, right? That's it. So this is the editable email notification, right? Apply and save. Now try to trigger the job. Click on build now. Let's see here, success. I got an email. 26 is successful. CA job bill 26 is successful. 26, right? Open, you can see the content console and click on the console, right? It is going to route the data, right? If I want to see the logs, click on here so that it will be routed to your Jenkins job 26, right? So now here let me fail the job. Go to the CA job and go to the build configuration. And I'm going to fail my job. Something added, apply and save. Then click on build now. Fail and go to the console output and scroll down. I can see email is sent. Go here, 27, CA job failure, right? So now this is the way where you can trigger the emails for at any case, success or failures or aborted or unstable, whatever it may be, right? Editable email notification is the one only for the failures. Even they can use the for the failures also, but yes, email notification is available for only for the failures. Like you can use either one, either this one or that one, right? So better always, why I'm showing the console output always means better to try to play with the console output, so that you will understand what exactly happening with the jobs. You are going to understand what the steps are going to trigger, what is going to communicate, right, where it's going to fail. So those details, if you are trying to understand the logs, now our life will be very, very easy. If you are not able to understand the logs, our life will be very, very difficult. Right? So that's why always try to play with the logs, try to understand the logs, what exactly the Jenkins is trying to do with the help of the plugins, and try to do the activities. Right. So now this is the complete job setup for the CI/CD with the communication, right? So this is a complete setup on a freestyle project with the help of these plugins. Right now, the next step is nothing but converting this complete CI freestyle job into pipeline, our real-time practice, converting into code, converting into pipelines. The same setup, right? So this we'll see in our next class, next weekend. Okay, so practice this setup, guys. If you, that's what I, because that's what means, if you are able to understand each and every plugin thoroughly, your next process will be very, very easy. If you are not able to understand, means you will be face some kind of difficulties. It's not like a thing like you cannot work, but you are going to face some difficulties. Practice it, try to understand the plugins and try to see the options, right? So now here you guys can take my repositories to practice it. One is the GOL, right? Forking, right? So you can open my repository and you can fork it. You guys can fork into your local, then you can start practicing on from your repository. So this is the one I'm going to share in the chat, and if you want to practice with other repository, yes, you can take this one also. The best part is always fork into your local, so that you can do whatever the modification you want to do. The modification you can modify on your repositories, right? So take my repositories and fork into your repositories. These two repositories will be having the proper formatted XML files, and you can set up the complete CI/CD on these repositories. Fine, guys. So yeah, so this is for this weekend. Any doubts, please let me know, so that I will clarify before winding up this session. Or if you are good, yes. Okay. So no questions means I think we are good. Okay, fine, guys. Then I will wind up here, and we'll meet on next weekend. But yes, please practice it. These are the very, very, very important for us, right? So next we are going to see the pipeline part, most important one. If you practice it, if you understand this entire setup, pipeline will be damn easy for us, very, very easy. Okay, right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Shankar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you. Bye bye.